devastating. I mean, I think it's a lot of different emotions. It feels unjust, kind of on a personal level. There's no reason given for the termination. It's sad. It's sad what's happening to my colleagues. I'm sad for myself. I worked really hard. I believe in the power of information to get us to a better place. And around 2 p.m. or so, there was an email that was sent out. It felt fairly ominous, but it said that the buildings would be closed today. That also we had to vacate the building by 6 p.m. From my understanding, from the people I've talked to, obviously from my own experience, we seem to have all gotten one of two emails. Either we were told that we were being let go, or you were kind of receiving an email. I think it was titled Moving Forward Together. A lot of really great people definitely lost their jobs under the impression that the good employees were retained and the not so good ones were not. Already I have a PIV card that allows me access into the building and to our network, and that has been shut off. The 2 p.m. email, people were very nervous. One, they referenced security, kind of concerns, which I think for your own physical safety, kind of trigger something in you, of like, okay, yeah, do we need to be concerned about our own physical safety? I know that there's talk of there not being any impact, but that is impossible. It is impossible to cut 1,300 people and not have impact. You have expertise in different areas for a reason, and so hopefully, I hope for kids in America that our grant programs, that the awards ultimately get made. They seemed to have removed almost all of the data people that I've worked with throughout my career, and so the research on education and what's working and what's not working, what has been, so we can learn from that. They just wiped out the infrastructure of that work. That's what I know the most, so I can absolutely say with confidence there is an immediate impact to that. Ultimately, I think education threatens people that want unlimited power and control. And if you look at the history of the Department of Education, I think it's actually striking how similar the kind of attacks on it have been. And I think that's because of what it stands for. It stands for a better life. It's always been considered an equalizer, and I think we're living in a time where that is very threatening to people, and particularly those that are currently in power. I didn't necessarily get into it by choice. I ended up loving it and staying in it and believing in what data can do for us. I've learned so much. I think, they're not just numbers, these are actually children. I think I like a lot of, hopefully still a lot of this country. I think, we've all, kind of been educated to some level. We all have, hopefully some kind of fond experiences of teachers that changed your life. I want my niece and nephews to have opportunities. I want them to be able to dream big. I already see them, they're young, they're sponges, and I think that's a beautiful thing that needs to be protected. I wish I knew, and kind of being in the data world, it's a little scary. I still want to work in the data world, but, I went into public service for a reason. I don't just want any data job. I wanted this job. I have to, kind of just take it a day at a time. I think it's safe to say there's a lot of people looking for jobs, and there are less of them. My things are still in there. My priority yesterday was the accessibility of my own employee documents, my history, you know, kind of working in the Department of Education. But, you know, the pair of shoes that I had in my office, they are still there. That is absolutely the case. I would love more of my colleagues to join me. There's the uncertainty that feels by design, and I think it kind of leads us to inaction. You know, you're kind of waiting to see what tomorrow brings. You're waiting to see what tomorrow brings, and so you don't necessarily act. To be placed on administrative leave next Friday, could this hurt my ability to have a chance at being allowed back in the building? Maybe, probably. And, you know, everybody has to make their own choices for their own personal lives. So I think it's driving a lot of people to say, no, I can't risk it. You know, I have a family, I have bills to pay. You know, I think my position just has been like, you know, I am not going to do anything that is beyond my rights as I know them. I'm not allowed to sit here on these steps. I'm not going to try to get into the building. But I would like to sit here. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong by just, you know, kind of spending time at the place that I otherwise literally would have been at on a Wednesday. I would rather be here than, you know, kind of thinking about the pain of not